And we're pumped to be here. Dallas, so much on the line, buddy.
Yeah, and Splyce, this is a team that obviously they make the biggest roster move in Europe. Not one they originally anticipated to make. This is a team that thought they were going to stick together. Josh leaves, goes to play with his buddies on Epsilon. They kind of get gifted Zero, who last year we could have regarded as the best player in Europe.
Yeah.
So I think this is actually the strongest roster on paper Europe's ever put together.
Oh, God, we're going to be kicking it off with Retaliation Hardpoint for this series. Now, we talked to Rise, we talked to Splyce coming into this one, and you have some doubts with Rise Nation when it comes to respawns. That's where their struggles have been, right?
Yeah, they actually said, I know when we spoke to them, that they have been working on the respawn game modes a lot, changed some roles up, and their biggest worry is their slaying ability, which is something you're not going to be able to change too quickly.
All right, well, let's hop right into it, kicking things off with Zero to start off with the NV4. He's the new guy to the squad. A lot to prove in this.
Yeah, now you can see he's just putting some shots in over by the bridge. He's going to be looking over as it's going to be Splyce winning the first round of gunfights, and they get control of bridge.
All right, and Rise too, you heard a little bit of talk from Merc. He was mentioning how you've had some changes really going with the roles that these guys have on the particular team. For Rise Nation, Aqua, with the NV4, they're saying they're playing a little bit slow with that. Having him switch into the role with the K-Bar, I think it'll pick things up for them a bit.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting switch-up because Aqua was playing quite well for this Rise Nation team. You see Looney inside the hardpoint, able to get one. It's going to be fans coming over the top, picking him up. But it's a really odd change because you wouldn't really kind of take your top player and kind of change his role. You would actually kind of figure out everybody else's around him, but maybe it makes some of the other players be a little bit more comfortable in their positions.
All right, well, guys, we'll get switched over and Codcaster to the appropriate screen here in just a moment. For now, though, seeing some action with the Splyce side. That was Mad Cat dropping. Splyce have a bit of an advantage early on, but I'm curious just to talk about your thoughts. You see Band starting out 7-2, the expectations behind this quote-unquote God Squad. I know you and I have talked a bit about how, not a coin flip necessarily, but you can either see them being like finishing top 2 or bombing out. What are your expectations for them?
Honestly, you really don't know. I mean, I wanted to see them play first against some top competition before really kind of judging this team, because a lot of us thought they were going to lose a lot with Josh off the squad. Speaking to Rise, they thought Josh was the standout performer when they played against them at ESWC. They said Zero was going to have a top performance to beat them, but right now it does not look like that as Splyce has come out taking a nice lead here against Rise Nation. I think this is a team Splyce where it's either going to go really well or it's going to be poor.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. And the bigger conversation, though, for this series, Matt, is kind of, well, even for the event, or Europe versus North America. And I know when you take a look at it, yeah, it's the battle kind of inter-region when you're talking about getting into stage 1. But still, I mean, the overarching question is always going to be, can Europe hang? And if there's a team put together that certainly looks to have the formula to get it done, it's got to be Splyce.
And you got to think, I mean, if this is a team that can't hang, who can?
Right.
If they're not able to do it, I don't know what kind of combination of players you need in Europe to be able to get it done against the North Americans. But right now, Splyce actually has control of Cathedral. This is a really good hard point to take a ton of time left. 40 seconds left on this hill. It's going to be up to Mad Cat to lock this down.
Let's see if Mad Cat can get it done inside. He's got a bit of help there with Jerd. He's backing him up. Shots a bit off, but the assist does come through. And now with 30 seconds left, they're looking to set it up. That number 8 on the minimap is Facento. He actually got in behind enemy lines, was able to pick up Zero in the back before Mad Cat answers.
Yeah, it's a quick kill for Mad Cat. He earned some extra points towards the scorch streaks by getting control of the hill yet again. But it looks like Rise Nation, they think they have control of Broken, but they have no idea where Jerd is located here in the back. He can make a huge play. You see everybody on the minimap. Rise Nation setting up for the cutoffs. They don't have Jerd here in the back alley.
And you have Zero pinching from the front, but now it's going to rely on Jerd. He's already found Aqua now, playing this sneaky position. He's been called out. If he can win a couple of key gunfights here, how does Felony find that kill?
It's a very tough kill to get. I mean, Jerd in a perfect position in the back with great cover. Felony takes him out quick, because if Jerd stays alive a little bit longer, it's going to force Rise Nation to kind of split their attention, right? They're going to have to look at Jerd in the back, have to worry about the players coming through the front. I think Splyce would have been able to break there.
And what's interesting, too, when talking to Rise Nation before this event, the question was asked, do you feel like you guys are, doubted at times or maybe a little bit overlooked? And they said, yeah, our hardpoint game isn't the best, as you're seeing a little bit right now, but we feel like that's why people doubt us, because, people get hyped behind that game 1, someone going off in hardpoint. That's not really been our game mode. They get it done in the search and destroy. So if they can bring the comeback here, if they can steal a game 1, that would be monumental for this team's playstyle.
And Splyce may be a weak opponent in S&D, because with a new roster, we've spoken to them, they haven't had a good chance to practice it. So you don't know how they're going going to play in Search and Destroy. It could be something where they could gel pretty quick, be on the same page, or they can not excel in that game mode. So this would actually be a huge game for Rise Nation to steal in terms of the series.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, when talking to Rise Nation about who maybe they're most fearing in the polls. They didn't even say Splyce. Splyce was the team they actually felt most confident against because of the recent team change. They think they'll beat them in that natural teamwork department, which they've obviously evolved over the course of the year. They're actually a little bit more scared, or at least they think there'll be higher competition coming from Enigma 6.
And with the way Enigma 6 has been playing in the online 2Ks, you can't really fault them for saying that. They have been so good. I'm interested to see how Enigma 6 comes out at this event. But we do have the hard point in the hotel hallway. It's going to be Rise Nation getting control. So the last few hills we've seen go over towards Rise. Splyce needs to make a little bit of a comeback, needs to break this. Right now, for the side of Splyce, you're looking at Zero, the new addition to a team, 5 and 10 right now, needs to pick it up.
Yeah, he certainly does, but let's see what Looney of Rise Nation can do. He finds one down hallway, a second in front, tags him up, but not able to finish the reload there, but needs a little support through the back. He's holding them at bay, at least making sure Splyce can't get any time here. And those type of plays, you know, the ones here, the nitty-gritty, the dirty, up-close battles, that's where Looney you expect to excel.
And he picks up the score streak there, gets a Scarab. Not really too impactful in the respawn game modes, but it's going to be Jerd trying to get onto the hill here. You just see how aggressive Jerd is. Will not back down from any gunfight. And Aqua's able to take him out. So we can see Aqua with the K-bar in hand, 12 and 13. Not the crazy games from Aqua that we usually see with the NV4, but maybe it makes it easier for the rest of his teammates to just play a little bit further back at range with the NV4 in their hands.
Well, they need him to get a big result, but it was interesting, you know, when you heard Merc say Felony and Vicento, those are the two guys that'll be rocking the NV4 more now. Aqua going to be a little bit more up close and personal, but this is a very long-range map, right? You can get away with the NV4 on a lot more hard points than you can on some others, but let's shift focus now back to the Splyce side. They're still holding on to a 20-point advantage. The European God Squad looking to get it done, but tagged up is Zero, and ultimately falling. It's going to be Mad Cat playing inside. Such an important position on the map as you can basically hold down cutoffs between any hard.
Well, these next two hills that are coming up are the ones that Splyce really took control of and really kind of got this lead from, is this lower street and over by Cathedral. So right now, Rise Nation does have control of the hill, but Mad Cat just comes out right from the top of Hotel, able to take out Felony. And just like that, right at the beginning there, Rise set up, Splyce breaks. Huge play there from Splyce.
And you know, you've pointed out a couple times that Zero has been struggling a little bit in the KD department. You think that's just gonna maybe be the story early on throughout the course of the weekend? Get some maps on land under your belt with the team? Because it doesn't look like Bance has been affected. He's still gonna be your lead guy, 22 and 16, having a huge result. You think it just takes a little bit of time for Zero to get in the groove?
Look, I think with the way that Zero and Bance both play, I feel like it's just going to be one of them's going to have a game that they're just going to go off like Bance is having now, and the other one's going to be around even. I just feel like there's obviously not many kills on the map for both of them to go super positive. So I don't really look at that stat line and say like, oh man, Zero's playing bad right now. I just look at it, you know, Bance is really taking control of the game. Zero's picking up the rest of the gaps that he's leaving open. Just doing a nice job as a team.
Well, Bance on point right now with the K-bar. Found one, now looking for the second here outside of the graveyard wall. Nades out to try and find the kill, knows he's still there, turns back, but will ultimately get pinched by two players. Zero tries to back it up, two in front, the duo there inside from Rise Nation gets it done. And now you got 50 seconds left here. You've spawned the team out. Looney's actually in a pretty good position here to actually flank behind a couple players coming in from Splyce. If they can pick up the rest of this time, we've got ourselves basically a tie game, Matt.
Yeah, now Splyce, they're actually going to get pinched here by Looney. It looked like if they would have went a little bit faster, would have had a 4v3 inside of the hard point, but they let Looney get back into the mix. And this is one where Rise Nation should be able to get the hill back. You see Vicento on the kill feed picking up two. And now if you're Splyce, you got to think maybe one more attempt at this hill and then start to rotate over towards Broken. You can see the one on your minimap, Jert. He's actually going to rotate, and they're only going to commit 3 to this hill.
He's going to get set up early. That's Vicento that just spawned at the bottom of the mini-map. He's going to be the first one to probably try and engage as they rotate across. Bance of Splyce will be getting the cutoff here inside Hotel Hallway, so anyone that tries to come from Lower Street or the interior, he'll be able to call out or get eyes on, but it's exactly a tie game. If they were able to hold down the rest of that time, it was going to be very, very close, and that is the definition of it, as we've got a ball game here in Game 1 coming down to the wire. You've got top 3 teams from Europe and North America kicking things off early at CWL Dallas.
Oh, and right there, Felony takes out Zero in the back. That is a huge kill, opens it up for the side of Rise Nation, but Mad Cat answers back with a 2-piece of his own. And you do see Splyce. They're going to have more players charging towards the hard point here. This is actually looking pretty good for Splyce to get the control of the hill back.
And this is such a big game for Splyce. Rise has been so good in Search and Destroy. They only lost 2 S&Ds at ESWC, and those were both to FaZe. Outside of that, they've been lights out, but it was Jerd coming coming in from behind, but who is it but your veteran Looney inside Broken to close it down for Rise Nation.
And you're going to have Splyce challenging the last few seconds here, and they're going to rotate the rest of the players out towards that hotel hallway. So we will see Splyce take the lead right back, and Bance with this reactive armor could make a big play here in the middle of the hotel. I think potentially you even save this. I mean, go over towards that next bridge hardpoint, you could use it there.
Any close game wraps on bridge, right? You see it time and time again. You can think of a lot of clutch plays with reactive armor. You know, Aches back to Vegas jumps to my mind as he flies out and seals the deal against Rise Nation. It is such a powerful ability. Got to keep eyes on Bance throughout the tail end of this just to see what he can do. But as we talk, it's been a 12-point lead now, blown up for Splyce. But Rise Nation back in control of the hard point, and you've got reactive armor for Felony on the opposite side as well, Matt.
Yeah, and if you're Splyce, you maybe get one more attempt at this, and then Rise is going to be very close to closing it out. You may have to use the reactive armor on this push, and Bance actually dropped, so not going to have the opportunity to use it. But Splyce going to break regardless. Big play there. It's Madcat now, the last one alive inside the hard point for Splyce, going to pick up one as another player directly in front of him. So just like that, Rise Nation gets control.
Well, let's look at Aqua. Aqua's on a 7 streak right now, 23 and 24. He's got full streaks. So how deadly are these streaks going to be when you're talking about bridge? It's wide out in the open. You can just nuke either into this, try and break spawns for your team and lock it down. Ludi's already inside. Trophy doing work. He's trying to hold it up close and personal as Bance. He's able to win one gunfight. Bance actually, he did end up using the reactive there to get the break.
Yeah, and Aqua uses his streaks, and actually Splyce pushes all the way past the streak, so he gets nobody with that first one. He's going to be able to pick up 2 players with that second score streak, and Aqua going to get a third there, as it's going to be Rise Nation getting control of bridge here. So close to closing the game out, only 10 seconds left.
And Felony knows where the spawn's coming from. 2 push inside a hotel. 1 right next to him at Broken. Can't win the gunfight. 3 kills going the way of Splyce. This may be the break they need. 25 seconds left on the clock. 240 to 244. It's going to be Felony coming in from behind. There's the reactive armor. The shot's on point through the car. It's going to be Facento finding one as well. The second there can't get it done as Jared clutches up. 245, 246. Who's going to get the final moments here? Rise Nation, one more tick and it's done. Woo! That's one hell of a game 1, baby.
Yeah, and right there at the end, as soon as the kills go in favor of Rise Nation, you saw the spawns coming in for Splyce. They had no chance to get back and contest that hill. And that is one where Splyce had control for most of the game. Rise Nation with a fantastic comeback in the second half.
And we'll go back to, you know, what we talked about leading into the game 1 and throughout the course of it. A win there for Rise Nation is such a boost and a bit of a dagger to Splyce with how good Rise has been when you're specifically talking about S&D. But as we look forward throughout the rest of the series too, we know Uplink's been a problem for them. I mean, this has game 4 or 5 written all over it.
Yeah, I mean, look, Splyce is a very good uplink team. It's probably their strongest game mode. CWL London, I watched them just crush teams in uplink all tournament long. I expect them to put up a very good fight in uplink against Rise Nation. I do think, though, the search and destroy is going to be a very big problem for Splyce.
It should be, right? I mean, when you look at how good Rise has been on paper with Search and Destroy, they've been phenomenal. And then when you think about the fact that it's one of the more, I guess, obviously there's teamwork involved in every game mode, but Search and Destroy is probably got to be one of the hardest to pick up when you have a new addition to the team in Zero. If you're Splyce, it's got to take a little bit of time to work out the kinks.
It's just like timings, where like, you know, I have a different kind of cadence than you, where I want to trade this kill out, and you know, just like go now, like it just means something different to some people. It's like go now means like either I go right now or like a second after, like, so it's just kind of like timing those things down, because those plays are huge. I mean, you slide in a second later than what your teammate's anticipating, you're going to get 2-piece, and it's going to be huge for the other team. So I think just those little tiny minute things in your team comms can definitely change up how a team plays.
And now this is what'll be interesting. Now we talked to Splyce, and you know, hearing about the communication issues with Josh on the team and how they felt that it was kind of his way or the highway, right? And it caused some of the other guys to not communicate as much. And you have the team change, and they feel like they're actually going to be in a better position now. But there's no question that Josh, in some sense, was the leader. Whether he was a good leader for this team or not, that's up for debate, right? But when you go now, welcome to Dallas. You lose 250 to 246 in your first match with your new roster here. How do you rebound for game 2?
I mean, it's going to be tough because they know they have not practiced Search and Destroy that much. They don't feel too prepared against a team like Rise Nation who excels in this game mode. But a win here, though, sets up Splyce really well for the rest of the series, because we talked they're great in uplink. Then you go back to another hardpoint. They're in control for most of that game. I mean, the Cathedral are broken and the second half goes their way a little bit more, that's where they close out in the hotel hallway. So that is not too bad of a loss for Splyce.
0, though. Looking good in that Splyce jersey. Welcome to the squad. Eyes are on you, buddy. I mean, he's going to be the talk of the town just because there's so much pressure on him. There's high expectations for this Splyce team, and when you come in touted as one of the top guns in Europe, you got to get it done.
I mean, there is a lot of pressure on this team at this event, but I think there'll be even more, if they qualify for the Global Pro League. I think this is where you're going to need to see that team play well. I think for them, this is one where they want to come in, have great performances against NA teams, obviously place as high as they can, earn as much money. But I think this is a team that's kind of built for the long haul. It's not somebody who's kind of looking to win. Yeah. I think this is a team that's built to try and win that Global Pro League.
Well, we've got just over $3 million on the line in a 3-month period or something like that.
It's a decent amount of money.
They know what's on the line. I love the format of this year, how it's just ramping up as we get closer to April when we kick off stage 1. It is going to be some incredible stuff. But looking back to the game 2, Search and Destroy here on Crusher, talking to Rise, this is one of their favorite maps on one of their favorite modes. You gotta feel pretty good about it here.
Yeah, and I think Rise actually they have to feel really good, even obviously knowing Search and Destroy is coming up next, but stealing that first respawn. That's probably one halfway through that game they did not expect to win. So pulling out that last second comeback there, they got to feel really good going into S&D.
I have a question for you. Remember last year how it seemed like FaZe, they were a team that was real back and forth in game modes, where there'd be an event they're really good at Search, then really good at Hardpoint, because sometimes you focus more on a game mode you struggle in. Yeah. So hearing how much Rise has focused on uplink leading into this, they've really put a lot of time into it. I know you don't scrim Search and Destroy so much, but when you put so much focus in one game mode, do you think there's room for any sort of fall off there, or Search right now is just so team-oriented, so instinct-oriented that you still feel good about it?
I still feel good about it. I think Search and Destroy is a game mode that, the meta changes and whatnot, it doesn't really affect Search as much as like a respawn, because every team has kind of their opening strats, their opening breaks, sites they favor one over another, that I think it's really kind of one of the more stable game modes that we do have.
All right, well, it's going to be eyes on Bance early as he's got the sniper, and you see an aggressive mid-defensive push that came in from Rise Nation. All 8 players still up as the tension's starting to build a bit here as both teams vying for control.
Now you do see Rise Nation, they're getting a good idea of where the side of Splyce was going. It's going to be Aqua getting first blood, but it's going to be even back up. And it's the first time we're seeing the ERAD here. The ERAD we did see a lot from the European teams over in Atlanta, but now North Americans adopting it.
Spoke to Rise and said, what was one of the biggest changes you think coming into this event that you might see as a viewer, as a commentator, something you may not expect? And they said flat out, you're going to see a lot more of the ERAD. And I think we saw that trending upwards over the past month or two, but I think even more so this event, you're going to see a lot of it. But nice shots there from Felony and a good job staying alive. Might be able to bait a second into his teammate as well. Jammer is in, and he's going to lose one. Now it's going to be a 2 versus 1. It's going to be all on Looney versus Jordan Bance.
And they have an idea where Looney's located. He's able to get one, so we're going to have a 1v1 here. It's going to be Looney versus Bance. He's going to come around the corner, chase Bance down, pick up the kill. Looney will get the defuse, and Rise Nation will take round number 1.
Looney with the big clutch in round 1, and you see the smile there from Felony. But that for Looney, that's like the perfect position to have an ERAD, right? Close, you have a box in front of you, you're kind of jiggling back and forth. That's the prime spot to have that particular weapon. Yeah,
I mean, he comes around the corner, and Bance is actually expecting him to go wide on that, which is quite odd, because if you have an ERAD, you want to stay close.
Yeah, right.
You wouldn't kind of take that wide angle. But Looney comes straight up the middle, takes out Bance from the side. It's a 1v2 scenario that he's able to clutch to give Rise Nation round number 1.
There's Looney on your screen, going big there for his squad in the first round. If you are just joining us, welcome to CWL Dallas, presented by the PlayStation 4. And Rise Nation currently has a 1-0 edge in our first best of 5 of day 1.
It's a big series because these are the 2 teams we expected to be at the top of this pool. So you do think that whoever wins this match probably takes the first spot in this pool, in Pool D. So it's a very big match for both teams here early.
Well, eyes on with your MLG Vegas MVP. That's going to be Vicento. He drops, and that's another ERAD, this time coming out from Jerd. You cannot toy with it at close range as it picks up another, and now it is currently a 4v2 advantage here for Splyce. Aqua and Looney with a lot of work to do.
Yeah, no, Splyce had the advantage in the first round as well, but it was just Rise Nation able to clutch up, so we'll see if they can pull out round number 2. You do still have Looney alive. He was the big player in round number 1. You have Aqua with bomb in hand. They're just trying to clear this area out before they get the bomb down.
See if they can clutch. First engagement going to go the way of Jerd. Looney able to answer back. He pulled off the 1v2. Can he pull off the 1 versus 3 here now? He has a K-bar. and the Erad to work with. One on the edge tagged him up and not able to finish the kill. Ooh, if he gets that one, really gives himself a chance. But now with 15 seconds left, you just don't have enough time.
Yeah, he almost needs to chase that player up top. I mean, you really have no other angle you can take. As soon as you get him weak, you just got to kind of chase that kill, especially with only 15 seconds left. Splyce takes out Looney. They win round number 2, but you got to think, I mean, that first round could end up coming to bite Splyce at the end.
You know, I just saw the Irish flag there on Jared, and it reminded me, you know,
St. Patrick's Day.
You know, I realize I've gotten old.
No.
I used to know exactly when St. Patrick's Day was in the calendar. That was a celebration in college.
Why did you know that?
Well, because all the festivities, Matthew. Festivities on St. Patrick's Day. I didn't even know it was St. Patrick's Day until someone like slapped me today for not wearing green.
Yeah, I had no idea it was either.
Yeah, no clue.
I never planned around St. Patrick's Day like you did, though.
I definitely did plan my week around St. Patrick's Day. But here we go. Round 3, all tied up at 1-1. You've got FTL jump available for Jared as they're looking to swarm into U and into A.
Now, Aqua playing this close corner. He's going to have 3 players pushing at him. He's able to get 2. So 2 big kills there from Aqua, kind of stops the push there from Splyce, and now they're going to be cautious. They do not want to keep going that angle. They want to just change things up, maybe pull back a little bit, reset, figure out where they want to go with the bomb.
Well, talking about Rise a little bit while the round is growing here, what do you think it is about that makes them such a special S&D team? What's made them so nice here in Infinite Warfare?
I think it's just that they've been playing with each other for so long. I mean, Vicento and Aqua goes all the way back to like Advanced Warfare. They're teaming with each other. You know, Felony they added into the mix last year, and then obviously they teamed with Looney this year. But just the chemistry these guys have with each other, they've been playing so much S&D as a team for a very long time that it's almost just on instincts now. They don't really need to even communicate with each other. They kind of know what each other wants to do. It's something we don't see a lot of teams form.
Well, now it's coming down the stretch. It's going to be 1 versus 1. It's Mad Cat now versus Vicento. 15 seconds on the clock. You can see where bomb is down in their garage by Mad Cat as he's trying to hunt mid-map. He doesn't. I don't think he has enough time to work with.
No, and I think Vicento knows that. He picks up that first kill, can see that he drops the bomb carrier. Nothing happens here in the final few seconds. Rise wins the round, and that is one that's a very smart play by Vicento. Knows the clock, knows he gets bombed down, can just go all the way to the other side of the map. Mad Cat has to search that area, obviously, doesn't know if Vicento's still there, and then not enough time to get the bomb and get a plant down. So good round there from Rise.
Mad Cat's only chance was basically to completely forget about Vicento and try and grab the bomb and immediately plant. He might have had a couple seconds, but it's so tough when your teammate dies 10 feet away from you right before.
Yeah, it's so risky. I mean, you can't just kind of run straight for the bomb and just jump on it and try and get it, because you assume maybe that player is playing right on top of the bomb site. And you do see Aqua, he's going to have 2 players just run right in front of him. He's able to get 1. Bant's going to trade that out. So this round is just going pretty quick here, Maven, as we get right down into a 2v2 scenario. It's going to be Felony and Vicento the last 2 alive. Felony drops as he tries to push in towards A. So Rise Nation just tried to strong arm their way into that A bomb site. Did not work out.
Now, remember, this would be a lead for Splyce. If it weren't for the 1v2 from Looney in round 1, you now have a chance for Vicento to replicate the same. Here we are in round 4. He's got bomb planted. Got Mad Cat and Bant. Sorry, buddy. Teed up as soon as he rounds the edge. And that's going to be Splyce tying up our game 2.
Now, Splyce has looked very good in Search and Destroy for a team that's just formed, just trying to figure out their way out in S&D. I think this is a team that, look, on paper, they have a ton of potential to be a very good Search team. I mean, 0 very good S&D players. Same with Mad Cat through his entire career.
Yeah.
So I do think they have the potential to be a top Search team. It's just I think it's going to take some time.
And that's the series, you know, sort of, if Splyce were to take this, maybe go in the opposite way that we expected a little bit. But, you know, we talk a lot on prior results and stats for this Rise Nation team, but they've spent so much time working on their respawn. They thought the pace of the game was the issue. They changed some roles. They play a little bit faster now. And you're seeing some of that, oh, God, almost a collateral there for Bance as he sees 3 on the edge. Not able to hit the shot, but that was just a flurry of opponents there in front.
And I think he's actually, like, still moving when he scopes in to take that shot. If he would have stopped for, like, a half of a second and fired, he probably would have gotten that collat.
Oh, that would have been incredible, incredible stuff. But as it stands, everybody's still up, bumping into each other a bit around the edge, but traded are the kills for either side. So now we'll transition into a 3 versus 3. Mad Cat still holding on to this FTL jump to maybe be able to make a play. Turns there on bridge, but not able to get it done. It's now Bance, the lone man with the bomb against 3 players, pistol out. And that's the tough thing about having a sniper, right? You get put in a 1v3, you don't have a lot of options unless you're finding a replacement gun on the ground.
Yeah, no overkill. So obviously, when you have the sniper, not going to be able to have the luxury of an SMG or an assault rifle in your back pocket. You have a pistol now. So in a 1v3, especially pushing in towards that A bomb site, not going to be able to get much done.
Jared, looking to get things done in this search and destroy. You can see he is locked in, knows how important this game 2 is after dropping the game 1 hard point. They're down a round, but now They're going to be playing a bit of defense here. You can see it's an A stack for them, but it's going to be offensive hit now coming out for Rise Nation. Up high on the wall run is Aqua. Bance hits the quick flank from behind. Is anyone there to trade it? The answer is yes. So it's similar to last round. I mean, quick hit, kill traded, 3v3 develops.
Yeah, both teams doing an excellent job of just trading these kills out at the beginning of the rounds. And they go on these aggressive flanks or pushes. They have another teammate there to trade it out, get away with his life. And Aqua in such a sneaky position here, able to take out Mad Cat. Mad Cat probably pretty heated there. Aqua's going to go to the bridge, not going to be able to pick up another. We're going to end up in a 2v2 here. Bomb is down, 30 seconds left.
And he peeks that doorway instead of just going to fly out, and he probably finds a second kill. But as it stands, 2 up for either side. That's Jurg tagged around the edge. The FTL jump from behind, and he's able to find it. There's one more. Tagged him in the back. It's going to be 1 versus 1. 15 seconds left. He's got to hunt the kill. Looking for it. Finds it around the edge, but he can't win it. Just a sliver of health left, and Rise Nation gets it done.
Oh, that was one of the best uses of FTL jump we've seen, I think, from Jurg. He actually uses it, gets behind the opponent, takes him out. And right there, I thought actually Jurg was going to come around this corner and pick that kill up. Felony was weak. NV4 versus Erad at that kind of close to medium range.
He had to have gotten his health back like a second before that engagement, basically.
Yeah.
And you saw it was just enough as one more bullet to his pinky toe probably ends that gunfight.
Another big clutch round from Rise Nation. So we will see Splyce on the offensive going over towards that B site.
4v2. Advantage for Rise in the game 2. Looks to be a flank from Looney and Co, though, as they're going to be wrapping around the back. He's got eyes on one.
Eyes on 2, misses everybody as well.
A little bit easier with the NV4 there. It's some increased recoil on the K-bar. Well, we'll give it to that.
You got to at least hit one of them. I mean, there's like 3 people on your screen. At least hit one. Oh, man. Some rough shots from Looney at the beginning of the round. Kind of sums up how this round has gone for Rise Nation as Splyce takes it.
They're able to just hang on. I mean, there's been a couple times you think maybe you're going to see Rise Nation start to run away with the game too a little bit, but Splyce doing just enough to keep this in contention. And Splyce, I mean, I feel like dating back to what, mid Black Ops 2, what, ESWC Black Ops 2, they've had some Black Ops 3, sorry, they've had some great,
a long time ago.
Yes it is. They've had some great battles back and forth between these two organizations. Obviously, completely different rosters for the most part. You just have what, Looney from the old Rise Nation team and just Bance at this point, right, from Splyce.
Yeah, kind of crazy. You know, the Splyce team, they get second at COD Champs last year. They kind of redo the entire roster going into Infinite Warfare. Bance, the only remaining member. It's going to be Zero opening up with first blood, taking out Looney, and they try and trade that out, but Aqua not able to pick up the kill. And this is a big round for Splyce. They get 2 early first bloods. They get tied up here.
Yeah, what you think could be a 5v2 advantage. Oh, God. There's a team kill that actually comes through, but they do get cut down, and now Splyce has battled back to tie this up at 4-4. And if you're new to Search and Destroy or maybe competitive Call of Duty, it's going to be your first to 6. It's a best of 11 here for the game 2, best of 5 overall for the series. So keep an eye as we'll be kind of switching game modes around a bit, but God, man, this is one game mode that can be very, very high tension down the stretch.
And I think this is one where we were probably the most worried about Splyce losing Josh as a leader, in-game shot caller and whatnot, but you know, Splyce just has not looked much different, to be quite honest. I mean, this is a team that we talked a little bit to them, you know, pre, and they were like, oh man, everyone's saying Josh is our in-game leader, like they just don't know. Like, you know, Bance and Jurg have supposedly been calling for this team for a very long time, so maybe they don't lose as much without Josh as we initially had thought.
Yeah. And on the other side, it's a bit of a mix. You have Looney kind of makes the calls and respawns, whereas Facento takes over that role when it comes to the search and destroy. Number 5 on the minimap was one flank possibly coming through, but it's going to be the camo from Zero. He gets nothing with it. The spot one maybe going to hangar, peeks mid-map, doesn't find the kill. He's got 3 that could swarm at any moment, but the K-bar is so deadly up close. He's 50 off the bombardment, sees 2 more, tags him up, but not able to finish the kill. It's just Jurg, though, that has to get it done.
You got to wonder, maybe Zero plays a little bit more passive, try and earn those streaks, but 2 players pushing right at him. Nice shots there from Felony with the NV4. They're going to give him the defuse as well, so it's going to be Rise Nation 1 round away from taking map number 2.
So what we have to think about here, a couple things. Felony very close to the reactive, maybe a kill assist, he'll be able to pick that up. And then on the other side, you saw Zero had a couple streaks to work with.
Yeah, and expect to see Rise Nation probably take this over towards the A-bomb site, knowing that Zero has those Trinity rockets, obviously not going to want to be pushing that outside area over towards B. I would be shocked if you see Rise Nation push that outside area this turn.
All right, well, getting ready for our round 10, coming down to the wire here. But yeah, you gotta think it's going to be these streaks that sometimes play. Do you save these? You have to use it here. You have to.
Save them.
Unless you pick up an early kill, maybe you have an advantage. I mean, you want to try to, but you can't.
So you see the way that Splyce is playing this. They stack over towards the A site because that's where they expect the pressure coming in. As soon as they see nothing, they may pop this streak a little bit early. So they're going to use it right now, and you do see Zero get 2 of them, 3 of them with the Trinity Rocket. Oh, and that is why they needed to push the A site. You kind of sit there in the back completely open. They thought maybe they were going to make it inside, like bait it out.
Do you think they didn't know they had the streaks?
You have to have an idea.
I mean, that's one of the big call-outs you'll hear from players. You know, he's getting close to streaks. He's hiding. He's playing for streaks. But it just didn't seem like it. They bunched up on that wall.
With the way they played it, it does not seem like they knew that he had streaks. Obviously.
And obviously, we're not in their head, but it didn't seem that way. And now it's round 11. You still have one streak to work with.
Well, here's what's interesting. If they don't know that he had those streaks, do they think maybe he has even more? Like a bombardment or something.
Let's see how they opt to play it defensively. Where are they going to stack up? So just looking at the red arrows, it looks like they're playing kind of a passive spread here. I mean, they got to think he has something else to work with.
I think if you're Rise and you just see those Trinities come out, you maybe think he has more.
It looks like he is going to go ahead and call on the Scorchers, so they're all going to back into kind of the Skywalk. Doesn't attach anything, but it does lead to a kill here. 4v3 advantage. You talked about Zero needing to be a catalyst for this team. The new guy, he's 12-7, leading EU's best right now in the round 11, and what has been such an incredibly close series to kick off day one.
Bant's gonna come around the outside, take out Felony, so 2 quick kills for Splyce. They should be able to get the bomb down. It's all going to come down to whether Facento and Looney can clutch this 2v4 scenario.
Facento tags one, but doesn't finish it now on Looney. Mr. Clutch in round 1 with the 1v2. He's got to get more done here. He tags the first. Second to his left, he's done, and that is it. Splyce clutches up in game 2.
A huge S&D win for this Splyce team. Rise Nation comes into this one. They think we steal respawn. No, 1 respawn. We're pretty good. Looking through the series, they were very confident to get this Splyce team in search and destroy. Splyce wins a round 11 S&D to tie the series up at 1 game apiece.
And you see right there in that particular game how deadly Zero can be. What an asset this guy is when he's firing. Because, I mean, you have a monster performance with 12-7. That 3-piece with those streaks, I mean, that's what gets you to round 11, right?
Zero and Bance is going to be very difficult duo to deal with for a lot of these top teams in all game modes. I think once they figure out their search, they're going to be phenomenal in that. I mean, obviously, a very good search team already just took out Rise Nation. I think, look, if they can figure things out in the respawns, get those, both those players clicking. I mean, you have Mad Cat with the long-range AR play, Jerd up close, being aggressive. It's a very scary Splyce team. I mean, we knew they were going to be scary, but they are looking very good.
And remember, Rise only lost 2 search and destroys, both the phase at ESWC. Splyce already taking 1. But guys, we got a lot more to come in this best of 5. We'll be right back after this quick break.
This game not done yet.
Oh, this is insanity.
Welcome back to CWL Dallas, presented by the PlayStation 4. We've got some juggernauts from EU going up against Titans of North America. And so far, what more can you ask for? I'm at a 250 to 246 hardpoint, around 11 game 2. This is beautiful.
Yeah, as close as the first 2 games of a series could possibly be. And I think Splyce, they may look back, that first hard point, they should have taken that. I mean, they had control most of the game. Rise Nation with a tremendous comeback. They really get broken in Cathedral in the second rotation of Hills, and that's how they ended up winning that one.
Now, this is the game mode I think we've been, I don't know if most excited for is the right way to word it, but most curious kind of how this is going to go. Because when you talk about Uplink, it's been one of Splyce's best game modes. I mean, thinking back to ESWC, the dismantling they did of Envy was one of the worst defeats I've seen from a North American team versus a European team in the history of Call of Duty. And then talk to me a little bit about Rise Nation's struggles in that mode.
Yeah, I mean, Rise Nation is putting a ton of time in Uplink to try and really kind of fix their problems. I mean, obviously, slaying a huge part of that. But this is a team that you look back to like Advanced Warfare, they're kind of like changed the game in Uplink. When they were, obviously, TR, we saw some interesting stuff where they would like send guys back alley on like Detroit and they'd pick up the drone and they'd throw it like over the top. Like we saw them kind of create like a new way to play Uplink at the beginning. of Advanced Warfare that we have not seen them kind of do as many creative things anymore. I feel like Uplink has definitely changed since then, obviously, but we need to see that creative kind of thing come back for this team.
I think if you talk to maybe outside of Felony, but any of the other three guys, their best game modes in AW and Black Ops 3, I think it'd be Uplink without question. I mean, they were phenomenal in AW. They were great in Black Ops 3. Looney, we know, wasn't with that roster back in AW, but he was still one of the better Uplink players in the game. So this, it's been weird to see them start rough in that game mode. But again, they spent a lot of time on it. Let's hope it didn't hurt any of their other game modes.
I think just with this game, it's so fast-paced, and there's so much reliance on slaying and just killing that it definitely is going to be a little bit harder for this team. Because slaying is not something that you can just fix by just getting better. I mean, it's kind of difficult. It's like you can get better at learning the spawns and different positions and timings and stuff. It's like you can't really get better at killing people. It's kind of difficult to get better at killing the opponent.
With as much as these guys already play, right? It's not like your skill level is going to go from a 7 to 10 overnight as you grind one evening. It's not how it is.
It's something you either can do or can't. I feel like slaying is very difficult. And see Bance on your screen. He is one player who can definitely slay with the best. I mean, he kind of, for me, came out of nowhere last year. I mean, at the beginning of Black Ops 3, obviously on the Splyce roster, they make some roster changes going into Stage 2, and then ever since then, I mean, he has looked like one of the best players, if not the best in Europe.
I mean, I'll be honest. We didn't follow, for you and I think we can speak bluntly here, the EU scene as much before the Call of Duty World League started with Black Ops 3, just because there wasn't as much of a need for it. We were predominantly casting North American teams. The European teams weren't as prevalent, but when they got involved more with Call of Duty World League, we started to see a lot more of these guys, and I know he blew me away last year.
Yeah, I mean, the only opportunity I had really to see the European talent was, when I would go over to Gfinities and other events in Europe, ESWCs and whatnot. But I mean, you only get a 2-day look at some players. You don't really get a good grasp of the landscape of European Call of Duty. And with the format last year and this year, obviously, we've gotten much greater looks at the European talent, and they've definitely proven that they can hang. It's just getting a little bit used to the North American playstyle, I feel like.
Well, we're going into Precinct Uplink, and this is the map where Splyce dismantled Envy 14-0. You had 35 plus kills for Mad Cat and Bance. The two guys were absolute monsters. If they play like that, it's going to be very difficult for this Rise Nation to keep pace with them. But again, they've made some changes to roles. They're playing at a faster pace. Do you give them a chance here, surely, Matt?
Yeah, I do, but I'm interested to see. You change Aqua off of that NV forward, and you have Mad Cat on the other side, very good with that weapon at range. Who is going to counteract him on the side of Rise Nation right now?
Vicento, it's got to be. Vicento, when he's on form, if you're talking Vegas form, he could do it. He could shoot with anybody. Granted, he was doing most of that with the Osa. But it's going to be that tandem of Vicento and Felony that need to get it done. But here we go, baby. Game 3 of the best of 5. EU's Splyce versus NA's Rise Nation.
And you see right off the bat, both teams just vying for drone control here in the middle of the map. You don't want to obviously pick it up when you have your teammates down. Really, it just gives you nothing. And you see Jerd here in the middle. It's a big gunfight against Aqua. He's going to lose that. So you see Rise Nation should be able to pinch on this top side of the minimap, get control, but it's going to be 2 kills, 3 kills coming in from Splyce. And that's just, it just shows you, right? You can be in the best positions. You have a slaying power on the other side, does not matter. They take 3 kills there in favor of Splyce. They have map control back.
And Mad Cat, just a map that he, again, can dominate on. A little bit closer. There's the corner. Ultimately able to find him, but will end up dropping. But it's Jerd with the drone, and Jerd with the Fist of Fury as he knocks one down and pushes into apartments here, trying to get through the back. Maybe points on the board, waits for a teammate to push in front. He wants more, goes for 2, tosses it to the teammate, and then the dunk comes through.
So that's a super smart play, I believe. Okay, I thought he was actually throwing it to Bance. I think they intended to throw it to Bance, but they threw it to 0. But if they were able to get the drone in Bance's hands, obviously getting closer towards those streaks, but it was 0 who makes a big play, comes on a flank. The Rise Nation players have to split up, and I believe it was Bance taking out both in the end to result in that 2-point play.
And now you've got an offensive opportunity on the other side here, Matt. It's Rise Nation starting to build forward. They've got one player defensively covering here at back ticket. You had one at mid-map as well. It looks like the push has been shut down as just Vicento is going to remain here. I mean, he might be able to at least get, turn some heads, get some kills in the flank. There's not going to be any offense, but he can at least slow down Splyce.
And those are the toughest kills to get, man. I mean, when you're trying to push into the other team's base, they're set up, they have great positioning. You're charging at them, flying at them, while these other players are stationary, ready to set up and take these players out. So it's very difficult kills to get, and you see Rise Nation struggling to pick up any there as Splyce coming back on the offense yet again.
And I feel like when that's happening, when they're set up like that, you have to have kind of a two-pronged hit, whether it's coming in through the mid tarps and also maybe through the mid street to combine with Ticket. There they were trying to push everyone through back Ticket. It's just running into a wall basically at that point. But now another offensive opportunity here. As you see, it's Zero, the number 4 on the flank, Matt.
It's the same exact play they scored on last time. Zero comes on a flank, they bring the drone through mid-map towards that construction side, and they put in a 2-point play. Just like that, Splyce up 4-0.
Sort of the definition of what I was talking about Rise needs to do, right? Hit from 2 angles there, make some players turn their heads, but now everyone going to be hitting mid-street. Offense, again, for Rise Nation. As they cut down 3, there's 1 remaining player on defense. He's able to actually clear the drone, and Jerd makes a huge play to make sure nothing on the board for Rise. That's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for the side of Rise Nation. You need to answer back with points there. You have a perfect opportunity, and Jerd goes big in the base for Splyce. Picks up 1 kill, tosses the drone out right away. Fantastic play there by Jerd.
Zero with the crispy drop shot there at mid-tarps. But now let's focus back towards drone spawn and mid-map, as this cat statue can be such a popular area of dominance. But getting one up top is going to be Mad Cat yet again. He's having a strong game on a 3 streak. 8-4, and they've had complete advantage here in the first half.
You can just see their teamwork. If you're just trying to figure out how these pros kind of coordinate, you just look at the mini-map. Mad Cat picks that kill up, he backs down, the player on the statue is looking towards him, Bans comes from the side, takes him out, results in a 1-point play. Splyce just so coordinated with their pushes, man, they've looked very good here in Uplink.
Yeah, I know we've seen teams that are stronger from either side, but with Rise Nation pushing here, this is where a lot of times you'll see a good bit of control. You'll see a lot of points put on the board. So far, they haven't really had one solid offensive opportunity outside of the time Jerd made the big defensive play.
No, Splyce is just setting each other up for success so well. You see it's going to be Zero trying to go high off the wall run. Had Mad Cat there trying to help him out. Needs to play for some kills here. It's going to be 2 for Mad Cat, not able to get the drone and throw it in. Now, but Rise Nation, they get your own control. They really have nowhere to go with it. I mean, Splyce has just shut down all sides of the map here, Maeve.
It just looks frustrating, right? Just off a spawn, they're immediately being pinched. There's gunfight coming in from both sides. They're trying to wrap back the mid street, but they're having to focus on their base sides. There's still players from Splyce wreaking havoc, but now you got a chance. Looney, mid-map, drone in hand. He's cut down from behind. That's Bance making the play. Aqua tries to answer, but drops almost immediately. And there, the defensive hold comes in yet again. Rise just can't even get really a toss-off.
And you have to wonder what's kind of changed in Europe over the last year, because I would have said that Uplink is probably their weakest game mode compared to North American teams. And I know right now, at least for Splyce, they have figured out a playstyle that works against North Americans, because they have been looking very good. One of the best Uplink teams, I think, in the world, not regardless of region.
That goes back a bit to AW, right? When I think it was a lot of the European teams weren't even practicing or playing it early on.
Yeah,
they weren't playing Uplink at all. I think the first 3 months, they were a little bit behind the curve. But if you're Rise Nation, you finally get one through in the final 10 seconds. Give yourself a little bit of life. It's 2 versus 5. And with the way that played out, and if you looked at overall possession time, that is, I think, like an okay result if you're Rise Nation. I mean, they didn't play very well, but you're only down 3.
Well, you do worry because obviously the map has evened out a little bit when you move the uplink portals, but now Splyce goes on the side where we usually see more points being put up.
Sure.
That was Rise Nation's opportunity in the first half to put up a ton of points, take a lead going into side number 2. They don't do it. Now you think Splyce, their explosive offense in the first half, any of that carries over here into the second half, could be a blowout.
All right, Matt, well, let's get to drone spawn. It's Jerd grabbing it off the break, and they're trying to flood up mid-street immediately. This could be a 1-point toss to open things up. It's away, and it's through. That's a score in the opening 17 seconds from Splyce inside 2. You can't let that happen if you're Rise.
Yeah, it was a really quick play. Jerd goes mid-map, stuns the opposite side, picks up drone, brings it back towards Bance. Bance gets 1 kill over by construction. 1-point play they settle for. Nice play there from Splyce.
One of those set plays you see, right? We see these come out in overtime. A lot of the start of halves where you kind of have a setup you like that'll get you an easy score. They're able to get one in.
But that's what we used to see from the Rise lineup.
Right.
When it was, Aqua and Vicento, obviously, with, Nagafen and Remy, we used to see that all the time. They have these set plays. They come out in the second half, always get at least a 1-point play on the board. Just seems to have gone completely out the window.
Well, as we continue to look at it here, Matt, I mentioned Mad Cat and Bance, what a dynamic duo they can be on this map and mode. And right now, combined, they're sitting at +9. Solid stuff from both of them as they continue to slang. And I know slang isn't everything, but in something like Uplink, more often than not, it really is.
And now you were at ESWC, so you have a better grasp than I do. That's a nice shot by Jerd over the roof there. How did Bance play at ESWC?
I'll be honest, I don't remember that. I only casted 1 Splyce match, and that Splyce looked all right. I mean, I thought they played really well until they were matching up against Rise Nation. But Bance, I didn't I don't think I casted Splyce too often.
Yeah, because I have not seen kind of Bands play like he did last year. No, so far in Infinite Warfare. This is the first series. This is the first series, so I've seen him play like his real potential. I mean, when he is on and playing well, I mean, he can be a dominant player, regardless. I mean, you kind of look at the world rankings. I mean, when he is on point, he can play with anybody.
He really, really can. As he continues to get things going, Zero coming off the hot game too, though. The new guy to Splyce, going big now as he's moved into the positive rankings, as he's 16 and 15, has a dunk to go with it as well from early in the game. Under 3 minutes to go in the second half, and Splyce is playing the possession game, man. This has not been a fun one for Rise Nation.
And this is a smart play by Splyce. I mean, Rise Nation has to push them, has to get drone control. They can use the aggressiveness from Rise Nation against them, spawn them in the back alley, and it's exactly what they're doing. You see all the spawns coming in for Rise Nation in that back alley. It's going to be very difficult to get out of the spawn trap. Going to result in a 2-point play for Splyce.
They get 2 on the board, and there's probably more death coming as they just keep raining down fire on the back gas spawn coming in for Rise Nation. Finally, you pick off Madcap, but not before the damage was done. The second dunk is in. It's 12-2. This is going to be 2. I mean, so that's why I was trying to remember when I casted. Jack and I hopped into the Envy versus Splyce match late. We hopped in game 3 and only casted Precinct up late when they beat them 14-0. That's where Bance destroyed. This is a pretty similar scoreline. 12-2. This is now 2 top North American teams that Splyce is having their way with in uplink.
And this is the game mode. When you speak to them, they feel the most confident in their uplink play. And they have definitely shown that against some of the best teams in the world. 2 minutes to go. Splyce up 10 here, looking to put some more points on the board. This one has not been good for Rise Nation. We said they worked on their uplink, leading up to this event. It has not paid off here in their first series.
Well, and that's kind of goes back to my question of if they spent so much time on uplink, is there a chance it affects their search game at all? And I think I agree with you. The answer should be no. But the fact they already dropped the search this weekend, not a great sign.
It is their game 1 though. I mean, it's the first search and destroy of the tournament. They lose in around 11. I don't want to go and say that like Rise Nation completely forgot how to play S&D.
I agree.
Way too early to say anything. I mean, they lost by 1 round.
I know. I'm just curious over the course of the weekend as we see it develop. I mean, you got to see if you spent that much time on uplink, that time needs to pay dividends, right? You need to find some victories here. And so far, I know this is a very tough opponent, one of the toughest in the game in uplink, but not looking pretty. But since it's tied 1-1, you're still alive in this series if you're Rise.
And they didn't think that Splyce was going to be their hardest opponent in this group as well. I mean, they thought that it was going to be Enigma 6, and right now, Splyce dominating Rise Nation, looking to take a 2-1 lead in the series.
The whole reason that they said that, I believe it was a Felony, I think that said, the reason that we aren't as scared is because of the recent team change. When you have a team change this close to it, it affects things. And they felt that Josh was sort of that vocal leader. But then when you hear from Splyce that wasn't the case at all, that kind of goes against everything that you heard Rise Nation say, right?
Well, look, I don't think you can kind of say, oh, I know a roster change is going to break this team, especially when you add such a talented player like Zero. I mean, usually you just add talent to a roster and just let them figure it out. I don't think you really kind of need to think anything more than that. And, this team has a ton of talent. You knew they would put it together eventually. I think Rise Nation probably just didn't think it would happen so fast.
Well, this is now going to be scary as the time ticks off the clock. You're beat 12-4 in a game where Rise Nation, I just want to say, never really had a chance. They didn't have a lot of offensive opportunities. It was very well played by this Splyce side. And when you look back to the game 1, we're going to hardpoint again. And when you look at the game 1, things certainly, Splyce, I mean, kind of threw it away in a way, I think.
Yeah, and I think Bance drops 30 in that one. Mad Cat goes 27 and 19, I believe. So great games from those 2 players. But I believe our game 4 may be a breakout hardpoint. That is one that the European players do not like whatsoever.
I've gone back and forth with them so much on Twitter because
you go back and forth with everybody on Twitter.
I do. I'm an idiot. But breakout hardpoint is my favorite hardpoint. I love it. I love how much it punishes people. But because I guess there was, for some reason at ESWC, they this particular Splyce team ended up playing it like 3 rounds in a row or something. They lost like all of them, and they were just getting very, very frustrated. But they don't perform very well for whatever reason on that map and mode. So that's a good sign for Rise.
Yeah, I mean, even before ESWC, this is not a game mode, no map combination that the European players did not like. Everybody in North America players, they absolutely loved it. They thought breakout, best hardpoint map whatsoever. Europeans, they just could not figure it out. They just do not play well on it. So if it is a breakout hardpoint, which I believe it is.
I think you're right.
I think I'm right. Look for Rise maybe to force a game 5 here.
And wouldn't that be interesting when talking about their struggles in Respawn and the fact that they feel undervalued to a degree by whether it's by commentators, by the community, or their players, because they don't typically take the hard points. And we do put a lot of stock in hard point because they're 2 in a series, right? 2 in the first 4 games, so it even has more emphasis than Search and Destroy. You have to put a lot of stock in it. Now maybe they're able to take both hard points. That'd be impressive stuff.
I mean, look, it's great to be a great S&D team, right? Game 2, 5 in a series. You know, they obviously need to be good in those Game 5 scenarios. You don't get to Game 5 if you can't win a Respawn.
That's right.
I mean, I think you need to really buckle down, focus on those Respawn games.
If I would always take a dominant hardpoint team over a dominant Search and Destroy team.
Oh, without a doubt.
Even though it's Game 5, it's the most important one. Again, it's just the fact that you get those 2 in the first 4 games that I think they have a bit more value.
Well, look, I mean, you come out and win the first game of the series. It's huge. I'd love to see like a stat of the teams that win map 1. What's the percentage they win the entire series? I bet you it's actually extremely high.
Oh, I guarantee it is. It has to be very, very high. But we'll get into this Game 4 momentarily. Rise Nation trying to prove they've fixed some of the Respawn woes. Certainly improved in hardpoint by taking that Game 1, but not sure what to expect here as we get into Breakout. But let's talk a little bit about players on either side of this, kind of key player matchups going into this game. You got Jerd on your left for Splyce, one of Europe's best, and your Vegas MVP in Facento. Talk to me about these two guys, Matt.
Well, look, you're going to need Facento to show up in this Respawn if they're going to force this Game 5. You look outside of Aqua, now who's going to be their explosive slayer? At Vegas, this team was so dynamic because it was Facento. Facento stepped up. Actually, it was like outplaying Aqua at times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In Vegas. And I think on the side of Splyce, you're looking at Jerd. He's going to be the one that's going to open up plays for the rest of his team. He's going to be flying in, sliding into the hard points, being able to pick up 1, 2 kills, open it up for the rest of the team.
Well, everything on the line here for Rise, at least for our first match here. Trailing by 1. You got to take this hard point, but it is going to be Breakout. So I am very curious to see, because Splyce has had some just really poor performances on this map, if they can turn it around.
And something of note, we're in the rig draft right now, but we have not seen any of the abilities really be too impactful in the series as far. I cannot remember catching a big reactive play or a big camo play. You're going to see maybe somebody uses one of these abilities to their best of their advantage, and they're able to pull something out with them, because the camo obviously extremely powerful. Same with reactive armor. We've not seen great uses out of either side.
That's true. Let's see who can get the edge there, Matt. But for those at home, while we're going through kind of the cam here through the course of the map, talk to me a little bit about what maybe separates Breakout from some of the other hard points, why maybe there's such a difference in opinion.
I actually feel like it plays kind of similar to some of these other maps. I mean, I know you were talking a little bit about it this morning when we got here, but it is a map that does punish you for, not rotating early, getting those spawns. Something like no retaliation, right? The Game 1.
Yeah.
You don't rotate over towards Cathedral early, you're going to get punished. You don't go towards Broken early, you're going to get hurt by the other team getting a full 60 or close to it. I think this map plays pretty similar at times.
Well, I think that's a little bit of what separates this map from the others. Like when I think of Scorch, there are like 2 hard points where I think you can really punish people.
Yeah.
I almost feel like an early rotation here you can punish people on every single hard point, man.
I do feel like this map, though, differentiating from the others, is a little bit more fast-paced. Obviously, Retaliation, very large map. This map, a lot of close quarters engagements. That's what you're going to see.
All right, well, it's Looney down below, getting eyes, trying to push the opposite window. That would have been a big kill there to clear out the overlooking Madcat, but not able to do that. Madcat and Bance dead, but coming off of big games there in the uplink. We'll see if they can continue that hot streak, but so far, nice control here from Rise Nation at top mid.
Yeah, and this is just kind of bonus time, right? I mean, this first hardpoint right at the top of the central rooftop, so difficult to hold down for an extended period. Rise Nation doing a fantastic job on it now, and this time allows them maybe rotate a little bit later, towards one of the other hardpoints. You have a little bit of bonus time here that if you do end up losing a rotation battle, you're not going to get completely killed for.
Exactly, and you're going to get killed right now because Splyce has the spawns for the next hardpoint, but at least you got 35. Going to be 40+ points in the first hardpoint, because this is one, when you go to cell blocks, you can really lock it down, and you've got the perfect setup right now from Splyce. If you get a break right now, somehow from Rise Nation on the early rotation, it could be like a dagger early.
Oh, I mean, they would end up blowing out this Splyce lineup. Splyce investing a lot into this cell block hardpoint. They're going to need to hold it down, and actually ends up getting broken right at the beginning. So this is going to be very difficult for Splyce to make this comeback. I mean, right now, they're down by a lot. They need to get in and contest this hardpoint, but they also need to be cautious, maybe. They can't keep flooding this wall run and giving the side of Rise Nation streaks, because then it gets even worse. You've given them a huge lead, and you've given them score streaks. Would not be good for Splyce.
Yeah, if you're going to set up early for cell block, you better not basically go 4 up, 4 down to the opposition there. Is Rise Nation able to break in, but a good job contesting outside from Mad Cat as he drops. There's still one more remaining here, but now everybody cleared out, and Rise Nation will be able to rack some time. And look how far you're spawning out. You've already got 2 players rotating towards the top. I mean, I guess the good thing is you contested so well for Splyce that you only got, what, 15, a little over 15 points? 20 points maybe?
Yeah, now this is a Splyce team that if you remember all the way back, I believe it was Vegas where they get blown out in this map by FaZe Clan. I mean, that was an ugly, ugly match. And right now, Rise dominating them 67-9. Splyce, they do get control of this Graveyard Hill. Let's see if they can make a little bit of a comeback. It's going to be 3 kills in favor of Splyce at the beginning. The split spawns coming in on your minimap for the side of Rise Nation. So things looking good for Splyce early here on Graveyard.
And you'll hear me say it, but like you can get a lot of time on just about any hard points. Why you see some pretty big swings here at times as well. And right now, it's Splyce doing a good job clawing their way back into things. Up close and vertical is Zero as he finds a second there. You see what a talented playmaker he can be as he looks to push out through caves, make sure he's got this locked down as you see the red arrows on the minimap starting to inch their way forward. Now you get a nice pinch opportunity.
And Aqua, he picks up this 1 kill, and he just kind of wants to hide, let his teammates push from the opposite side, then get control of the hard point, and he does exactly that. Comes through, picks up Zero. Fantastic play there from Rise.
And we haven't highlighted it yet, but Looney not having a very good start. He's 1-9, and this is one of those games where you see blowouts where we've seen some people like single-digit kills or like 12 kills when you get blown out. You can get throttled here. It can be very frustrating if you never get the opportunity to get going, especially if you're that team fighting against the early rotation time and time again. But I think Splyce, at least for now, has done enough to stay in this, but they're still trailing pretty big to Rise.
Barely enough,
yeah, right.
I would say. I mean, right now, Rise has control of Commissary. You see the Splyce members on your minimap nowhere close to the hard point. They're just getting cut down in the middle of the map. They need to break this soon, Meave. If you see the next 20 or so seconds go towards Rise Nation, I mean, you can just put it in the books. We're heading to game 5.
Rise has every single cutoff covered. They're going to get the final 20 seconds here, and you see why this Splyce team continues to be frustrated with this particular map. Of course, they end up playing it in their first series.
I think it almost may just be a mental thing at this point.
Oh,
like you just convince yourself so much that you are not good at a certain map mode combination.
A self-fulfilling prophecy.
That
right?
that when it comes up, you just cannot play it. I mean, it's always in the back of your head, in your mind, like, oh, we are not good at this. And then, you know, first health goes in favor of Rise Nation. You lose the rotation on the second one after you have control of the spawns, and then things just start to spiral out of control.
Well, let's get back to mid-map where the early damage was done for Rise. They put up 40 points, 0 for Splyce. And they're looking to rack up some more time as they've got top middle locked down. And typically it's easier to hold on the second side of rotations because you at least have a little bit of early control.
I just don't know what it is from the Splyce team. They cannot play this map. I mean, they are so dynamic, you know, in uplink and hardpoint as well. It's just this map specifically, they just have not figured it out.
Well, Jerd trying to muster something here. There's 20 seconds remaining. They'll try and rack up all these points, but with the way it's been going, I mean, so let's take a look at the minimap though. You're going to want to control basically the right side of your minimap to set up for cell block, and the first person rotating back is going to be Mad Cat, but he's going to have an engagement with 2 players from Rise Nation right now. There's one in front, tags him up, finishes that. The second though, not able to get done. There is one more player remaining. That's Jerd, who could be in a position here to lock down Pacento, but the timing off for him. Pacento gets the win, and they've got a couple players set up in the hard point.
If Jerd is there 2 seconds earlier, though, he kills Pacento, and then Splyce has control of this back area.
You're Mad Cat in a 1v2, basically, right? I know
Yeah.
Jerd's there a moment later, but you didn't have any help, and that 2 players sent on rotation is going to be a big part of this.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's Mad Cat waiting an extra second so Jerd gets in position to trade those out. Maybe it's Jerd actually just rotating a little bit earlier, getting into that position, because you know, right there, you're putting a lot of pressure on Mad Cat to pick up a 2-piece to lock down the back of the spawn.
Well, Matt, what can Splyce do? I mean, what can they change here to maybe swing back into it? They're down 120. We've seen some crazy swings. We have. It's not impossible, Matthew.
Look, you're going to need to control Graveyard. You're going to need to control Commissary. Let's say you get 40 seconds on each hard point there. You're still down by almost a full 60 at that point. It would be very difficult. I mean, you'd have to split time over at the first hard point, then we're going all the way back to that cell block. You'd need to win that one. They need to lock down the next 2, make sure that Rise Nation doesn't get anything over in the middle, and then they need to take cell block.
I've got a statistic in the 15 hard points on Breakout that Splyce has played. They've scored a grand total of 200 points.
Oh.
I made that stat up.
Oh, okay. I was like, who fed you that stat? That does not sound accurate whatsoever.
I was just staring at your face.
I was like 200 points. They were going to hit 100 at least in this game. I was like, who if they? I know the phase loss was real bad, but like I didn't think it was that poor.
But God, I mean, you see why we talked about it beforehand. You don't want to harp on it too much, but we talk about it a lot because it's true. It's become a fact.
Well, what's incredible is
on this map.
What's so telling about how bad they are on this map is that I actually believed that stat for a quick second. I mean, I actually believed that they had only gotten 200 combined points in this one, but man, right now, Rise Nation in complete control of this game. Another 13 seconds they'll get here over on Graveyard. Jerd actually comes in, picks up 2 kills. They'll have control of Commissary, though. So we talked about maybe getting a full 60 on one of the next 2 hard points. You kind of need it on both. They're set up for this next Commissary hardpoint. Maybe they start to inch back into this game here.
Any kind of comeback is possible due to the fact that you can get 40 to 60 points on basically any hardpoint. And that I will never forget that comeback from FaZe at PSX, one of the first events that they put up against Orbit in the final, right? Where they came back from down 100 or whatever, the final few hardpoints. It is possible, but it's not looking pretty. His Rise is gonna get Commissary time here. There's still 35 seconds left. Sneaky Looney around the edge, finds 1 and assists the second, and we are now 15 points away from pushing this to a game 5.
Yeah, this is one of the hard points that you do see comebacks. I know more often than not, not going to see one here. Only 10 seconds left for Rise Nation to take this game, just because, I mean, you're able to just string hills together, right? Cell block you can take a ton of time on. Graveyard you can take a ton of time on. Same as Commissary. We just did not see Splyce get any control of either of those hard points. No good setups from them. Rise Nation only 5 seconds away from winning this one.
And they should close it out, but it won't be until our next hard point here as we do get ready to rotate back to top middle. It's Aqua inside, finding the first. Can't find the second, but it's just a matter of time now before they close it out. And we're going to go to the all-important Game 5 Search and Destroy, where Splyce took the game 2. But like you said, in around 11, you still have to feel good about Rise Nation's S&D gameplay.
Oh, without a doubt. Now you do see Vicento trying to take out players on the top central rooftop here, trying to get control of it for Rise Nation to just put this one away. They do have control now, and that's going to be at 250 to 111 in favor of Rise Nation. I feel like obviously the scoreline is a blowout. I feel like it was even a bigger blowout than what the score kind of alluded to.
Well, and it's the exact opposite of what we saw in Game 3, and you can see how certain maps and modes, specifically kind of modes, can stand out for particular teams. I mean, that felt like the uplink, but for Splyce, where they were complete control. You never really felt like Rise had much of a chance. That's exactly how it felt, just flipped for this Game 4. Game 5, though, I expect a tight one. Buddy.
And it's so interesting, obviously, the maps play such a huge part, in these series, where they fall and whatnot. If Breakout is Game 1, and that's Retaliation, that is one that Splyce may win. Coming off some confidence in the uplink, you win 3 in a row. So you got to be good at all these maps, man. You never know where they're going to fall in these map arrangements.
Yeah, you really have to make sure you have a diverse pool there that you're able to get it done. But guys, before we hop into the Game 5, we got a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to CWL Dallas. Slasher with
the Slasher pose kills me.
The hot moves there as we get ready for what is bound to be an incredible Game 5.
Yeah.
If you've been with us through the course of this journey in Splyce vs. Rise, Splyce vs. Rise, I feel like it's a games 1 and 2, very, very tight. Games 3 and 4, not so much. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I know if you're just tuning in, it was actually Rise Nation able to take a comeback in that first hardpoint against Splyce, and then Game 2 and 3 both went to Splyce, and then the last one we saw Rise Nation blow them away in a breakout hardpoint to set us up for a Retaliation Search and Destroy for game number 5.
Well, Rise Nation looking poised to maybe take this series with how good they've been at S&D. Before we kick off the Game 5, let's take a look at Rise Nation.
Come in favor of Rise Nation. Shocks the last one up.
Shocks, he finds one. However, he's got to find a 1v3. He's got to find one in the middle. Ladies and gentlemen, Rise Nation.
Rise Nation is a team of 4 players that are very driven to win and prove that they deserve a glorious legacy in Call of Duty competitive. This team succeeds because of Search and Destroy. They're very strong in the game mode, but also if they can take one respawn, I take them in almost every series.
Now, the main downfall for Rise Nation is they just cannot slay with the top teams. We talked about how Aqua, very explosive in the slaying department, and it's just unmatched on his team. But the other 3 guys, pretty inconsistent when it comes to picking up kills. they can get a little bit more consistent. They can contend with top teams, take home more #1 spots.
We've seen 2 different Rise Nations so far in Infinite Warfare. We saw the championship caliber team back in Vegas when they took home that title. Very consistent gameplay, and they clutched up. Then you went to Atlanta, a little bit under practice, and it showed in their placing. They shift focus to ESWC. Not only did they place top 3, but they went perfect in pools, and the only team they lost to the entire weekend was FaZe Clan. They added Looney, they got Felony now, Aqua, who's been an absolute monster. Everyone loves to root for Vicento. I've got them getting in the top 3 at every major event.
Great shot there of the Rise Nation crew. Can they get it done? And so this is interesting. You know how we talked a little bit about how they maybe feared or looking forward to the match more with Enigma 6. Talk to me a little bit about the result you heard.
Yeah, so just checking Twitter in the commercial break, I actually saw Enigma 6 has taken down Panda 3-0. So that's a huge win for Enigma 6. Obviously, tough loss for Panda. They're trying to get as many pro points as they can to try and get into the Global Pro League, you know, hold down their spot. Enigma 6, though, I mean, if they look how they've been playing online as of late, they're going to be a very tough out in this pool.
And I know, you know how I feel about that. Typically, guess what? You perform well online, it'll transfer to LAN, especially with those guys that have a lot of experience. Even though they're young, they've got a lot of LAN experience.
Yeah, you think Enigma 6 back at Vegas, I mean, they were one of the teams that used the OSA quite prevalently. I know did not adjust to the gameplay going into Atlanta. You think maybe, some more time, they've actually gotten better, using the K-Bar, the NV4, and the ERAD. But Splyce versus Rise Nation will be a game number 5. See how Splyce fares in another search and destroy. They took game number 2 in round 11. It's a huge proving ground for this team, though, to see where they're at.
And remember, that came behind a monster game from Zero. 12-7, he had the streaks. You saw with the Trinity Rocket, he picked up 3 in the round 10 to push it to the game 11. So some standout performances from the new guy on Splyce. Can he do it here? But it's going to be Rise Nation on offense to kick things off. Eyes on with Vicento.
Yeah, and you're going to see a lot of the action on this map tend to go over towards the B bomb site. That's where a lot of teams are going to put the pressure on the offensive side of things. It's going to be Mad Cat picking up 1 at the beginning, and it was actually just a 4-man push straight down to the B site for Splyce, and not afraid of the gun skill on the side of Rise Nation. They were just going to challenge it straight up. Rise, they don't bring the bomb over towards B. You see right there, it's going to be 3 players dead. It's going to be Vicento, the only one up.
Remember, round 1 of the last Search and Destroy was a clutch by Looney. Vicento has time to do the same, and we know he's a guy certainly with the ability in this game mode to make some magic happen. But you see on the minimap, they're playing together very well for a Splyce. They're bunched up and looking to be able to trade a kill quickly if need be. He's got 1 below him. Can he win it and get away is the question. He should be pinched from the opposite side in just a moment, and that was played brilliantly by Splyce.
Yeah, as soon as he got to that window and I saw where the bomb was down, there's really no chance he was going to be able to clutch that one up. It is down basically in the open of the lower street. He would have had to kill both these players. He had another one coming from behind. And then, obviously, if he can't really make it to the bomb at that point. So very difficult round for Vicento trying to clutch. Not able to do it. It'll be Splyce taking round 1.
That's one of those moments. If you win that, it's like you black out for a moment, just snap 3 different times and win these crazy gunfights you have no right doing. But not going to be the outcome there. Is Splyce able to hold it down? Felony, Mr. Mid-Map, just pushes right through a hallway, and what kill is that he gets? Vicento there to back him up with a 2-piece of his own, and now it's Zero. But I hope you're having fun planting the bomb because the rest of your team is gone.
Yeah, he's going to get pushed here from 2 players. They're not able to take him out. It's going to be quickly to a 1v1 scenario.
Oh, he's tagged up, and Aqua closes the door, but Zero, a chance to be the hero.
I wonder if he would have just sat behind the site and Aqua comes down and challenges, that might be when he's able to win. I mean, he can get down, get some of his health back. I mean, Aqua actually, he jumps a little bit early, so by the time he actually probably hits the ground and Zero stands up, he has that great cover behind the site. You can see here, I mean, if Zero's still behind that bomb site, Aqua's going to be on the ground, not able to jump again.
I'm actually wondering what he was thinking there. Like, I used the cover unless he...
Or get into garage?
Maybe he got a call out from a teammate that...
Yeah, that's true.
We don't know exactly what's going on with the comms there. Obviously, we can see a lot more with the Codcaster view. But yeah, keep that cover with the bomb. Give yourself another easy gunfight. But it's Rise Nation now back to offense here in round 3, Matt.
See how they decide to play this, and it's going to be Splyce with another fast push from the defensive side of things, and we've seen that from them a lot in Search and Destroy thus far on the defensive end. They just decide to 3-stack 1 bomb site, try and push all the way through.
Well, they try to push it through, but Looney, the first one to fall. They are able to get the bomb planted. Now they can set up in their post-plant positions. Felony in the all-important position here at the outside terrace. Jared working the very long flank. With Felony, he's in that good spot. He's able to find the kill. Might be able to get a second as well. He's going huge for his team. Those kills in this spot, man, and just holding it in general, this is how you win rounds.
He's done a tremendous job walking down the hotel hallway. He's just so fast.
The third.
Picks up another.
Give him the ace. That might have been all 4. Let's see this kill cam, was it?
I love how you called it with actually 0 knowledge.
I don't know.
Not. Oh, it was.
It was Felony with the ace.
All right.
Nice stuff. I just saw him jump up in the background. I was like, I think it was him. Just maybe.
And you can see with his movement, just really decisive. You know, a lot of other players, they pick up a kill, it takes a second, figuring out where you want to go next. Don't see that when Felony just keeps going, just keeps charging forward, able to get all 4 that round. See what Splyce does here on offense.
All right, well, it's almost 0. He's 5-2. The big game, too, trying to get it done here as the clutch man in your game 5. But Felony, the one standing out on the opposition, it's 6-2 for Rise Nation. Mad Cat, a nice spot here to find a kill. Looney caught sprinting. He saw one more, trying to back away, get back to his teammates, gets in the bike. Perfectly done by Mad Cat.
Such a smart play. Not going to challenge the second player is coming from Rise Nation. Expects the flank to come in as soon as he picks up 1. Gets away with his life. Big play there from Mad Cat.
But they need to kill. They need to kill Felony here. Vicento's already found 2, but Felony's streaks are still alive. You've got Camo already for 0 here in round 4. Nice shots. That's Felony. That is a huge kill because Zero having a big game, a confidence booster for him, but he's also able to take out Felony, stop the streaks. But now it's Vicento with 10 seconds left on the clock. 1 versus 1 versus Mad Cat. 7 seconds. Nothing he can do but try to find the kill. And he gets the kill, though, but that might be Camo for him. We're darn close, right?
Yeah, but some really smart plays from Mad Cat this round. And the 1v1 there, and then at the beginning of the round, when he picks up that opening kill, backs all the way up, not going to get traded out from the side of Rise, knows the flank is coming in. He's able to stay alive. Fantastic search and destroy play from Mad Cat that round.
Would you say those were cat-like reflexes?
That's such a bad joke. It's so poor.
You're welcome.
Like, I don't even want to laugh. I'm just laughing about how
You're welcome.
How stupid it is.
All right, here we go. Into round 5. Felony on your screen. He was so huge the last time on offense at holding this plat. Can he get it done again?
It looks like they're going to have the B site completely open here. So Splyce going to play a little bit further back on the defensive side of things. I wonder if they try to open this up with Zero and his camo, because we are still kind of early in the search and destroy, only round 5. You do think he potentially gets it back, and Zero actually does use the camo to get on the bomb site.
I wondered how he's able to get in behind, just staring at the mini-map, but yeah, the camo does get it done, and now Looney's got both sides to worry about. The timing may work out in his favor, but he shoots everything but Zero. It's Zero able to clutch up, who's found 2 kills here, and getting the camo that early, you see how big it can be. All 4 dead, defused now for Splyce.
Yeah, and I wonder who they're going to give this defuse to, whether it goes to Bance or Zero. So they're going to give it to Zero again. So they're going to try and work for another camo here. And with how good he's playing, smart play.
That's what I love about this. How many times have you and I seen somebody get camo early and they save it till like round 9 or 10? They hold on to it even deeper in the game. Use it. Win a round, get camo again.
I think it's more of a trust thing with knowing that Zero is good enough to potentially earn that camo again. Obviously, you wouldn't want to burn it early if you didn't think the game was going to go long enough for him to get it again.
Well, this one looks to be a tight one, but the camo being the difference maker here thus far. Vicento very close to picking up his. Vicento also very close to dead, and by that I mean he's dead.
So that nade at the beginning from Bance prevents the second player to come down the stairs, and they're able to just isolate Vicento and take him out. Just like that, it's going to be Aqua left in a 1v3. He's able to get 1. Try and back out, but the bomb should go down here.
Aqua turns it into a 1 versus 1, just melts Zero around the edge, and now you've got FTL jump to work with. 35 seconds to work with. You love the play by Bance, but I think they're going to run right into each other. Did he spot him in the corner? I don't think he did. Bance should have the shots in the back. There he picks up the kill, and Splyce takes a 2-round edge.
How the hell did he kill Zero going into garage?
Just disappeared.
Yeah, he just disintegrated. I mean, that's what I was like. After that kill, I was like, what the hell was that? Bance, though, there towards the end, gets into a good position, plays it pretty patient, able to take out Aqua. It's a big round from Splyce, gives themselves a little bit of a breathing room here in Game 5.
That positioning was perfect. Gives himself the high ground, so he's not fighting from the lower street, puts himself in a solid position there to win the round. But now with Rise Nation back to offense, we highlighted Looney at the beginning of the second hard point. What was that? The uplink, he was struggling, something like 1-9. He's 0-6 right now. He's had some slow starts to these games.
Basically a 3v3 with Jerd at 0-6 as well. So you see Felony going to run right up the middle of the map, take Jerd out to open things up. So Rise Nation with the man advantage here early, but Zero with 2 big kills earns the camo yet again.
Bro.
Zero putting Splyce on his back here in game 5.
Zero is earning his spot on this team in just the search and destroys in this series. He's now got 24 combined kills to go with 11 deaths. 12 and 4. God, this is impressive stuff from him.
Yeah, if they win this game, the remaining members of Splyce should go over and thank Josh. I mean, just giving them Zero here, who's absolutely taken over this game 5 against Rise Nation. Now, just like that, it was an early man advantage for Rise Nation. A 4v3 scenario quickly flipped on his head with 2 big kills. Leaves Looney and Felony in a bad spot.
Well, Looney does come in from behind. He's able to find one. Now in a 1v2. He did it once. Can he do it again? But you have the camo to work with. The bomb's across the map. There's 20 seconds to go. Nothing for him to do. And Splyce 1 round away from taking their first match of day 1.
So Splyce does have camo to use here in this next round. I think you use it on the offensive end. You try and put this game away. Don't want to let Rise Nation kind of creep back into it, make it a little closer. I think you use it right here.
You absolutely use it, because if Rise is going to come back and this is going to go the distance, you're probably going to get it again anyway. Or at least you may if it goes to round 11.
I don't think you get it again. Actually,
Possibly,
probably would
he's
get
playing.
it again. They would need to win, yeah, another 3 rounds. You probably do see it again.
Well, think if he uses it and gets 2 kills.
Well, if he uses it and gets 2 kills, the game should be over.
That's a good point.
If he uses it and gets 2 kills, the game should be over.
You would think.
Yeah.
But camo going to be the key with Zero, but it's Mad Cat watching the flank that has a lot to do. Bance, though, already drops. So you have a 4v3 advantage for Rise Nation. Facento has his camo to work with as well. So he's got a bit of utility here to give them a chance. Mad Cat answers back on the flank. Facento still trying to find the kill into Bike. He pops the camo. Camo on camo. Where did he go? Where did he go? He's to your left. He's right there. He gets him. Facento finds the kill.
And Mad Cat drops there towards the end. That's why I would have liked to see them use the camo at the beginning of the round.
Oh, what do you mean? You didn't like the camo on camo?
It just puts you in such a difficult position, because now you lose the round and you use camo. I mean, maybe you get it again if it goes to 11, but
Yeah.
it's kind of unlikely.
Well, that certainly works out really well for Rise Nation. I mean, not only do you get the round victory, but like you said, the camo does get used. If somehow you got away without using yours, that'd be the perfect scenario. But that's the only reason Facento's alive, right?
I mean, at that point in the round, I mean, you have a 3v3, you have good position in garage. Don't even use the camo. I mean, that kill on Facento's like not. I mean, it's actually a lot easier if you just kind of post up in the garage. If he uses camo, comes in and burns it, you're okay with losing the round.
And, we've talked a lot. Jack specifically has pointed out so many 2v5s that he's casted. Well, when you're down 2-5, now maybe another opportunity. It's into a 2v2 quickly. Bance does have reactive armor to work with. He's going to be joined up with Zero, 2 of the most talented players in the game, trying to give their team the edge.
Rise Nation still has bomb in their possession. We'll see what they decide to do with it. Have not seen any A plants so far this game. All the action has been over towards that B site. Things will change.
Bance should be able to catch him as soon as he fuses. Oh, okay, doesn't get to the edge. Has a little bit of help there. Able to finish Looney. Now it's on Facento. Facento peeks the edge. That's reactive armor coming in. Surely it's done. And that is game, set, match for Splyce versus Rise Nation.
Yeah, and Splyce extremely aggressive. Coming over on that flank over towards Bridge. They catch Looney as he's trying to get bombed down. And it's Bance using the reactive armor towards the end there, able to pick up the final kill.
I love Zero. I love Zero. Welcome to Splyce. Welcome to CWL Dallas, as he has a monster game. What a treat he was in Search and Destroy.
I tell you what, that is a huge confidence builder for this Splyce team. I mean, your first match on LAN with the new roster, a lot of high expectations, playing the other team in your pool, which you expect to be at the top with you, and you're able to win a clutch game 5. They win both Search and Destroys that series.
And that's sort of how, if I heard that a team won both searches and won the series, I would have said Rise Nation.
Rise Nation, 100%.
For sure.
Yeah.
Not the way it goes, though. Splyce gets it done in what was a fantastic series to kick things off. Hope you guys enjoyed it at home. God, we have a lot more.
And I tell you what, this is going to be a scary team as they progress through the tournament, because you expect them to be better in hardpoint. Their uplink game is great. The only really hole you were worried about this team is Search and Destroy, and they're able to take 2 off of a very good S&D team in Rise Nation.
So I'm putting you on the spot. I know there were a lot of question marks with Splyce coming in. We weren't really sure what team we would get. Does this victory already, by beating Rise Nation, eliminate a lot of the question marks for you?
I mean, once I kind of spoke to the guys, they didn't really have many questions. Once you kind of spoke to them and, figured out, like, hey, that they thought a lot of the stuff that Josh brought to the team in terms of communication was actually throwing them off a little bit, that they wanted to play a little bit of a different style, that they thought they were going to excel even more, with this new roster, and they definitely proved it there in their first match.
Well, Mad Cat basically said, I'll try and put it in a politer tone, but good riddance, basically, to Josh. Glad he's gone. Hope he doesn't make the league. Don't think he deserves to make the league. He had some strong words as the team changed. The mania went down in Europe, but Splyce gets it done and continues to prove the European is not to be toyed with. Guys, we've got more action to come after this quick break.